All right, now all this modern talk about Russia, 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 that seems to be all prophetical scholars can talk about now. Russia. Used to be on their little prophetical fiddle, Mussolina, 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 Italy, Italy, Italy. That string broke. Then they put another one on, Hitler, 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 Germany. That string broke. Now they're putting Russia, Russia, Russia. It used to be Joe, 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 but that's partially broken now. Joe's gone, and it'll be somebody else. They're always playing a little prophetical tune that doesn't amount to anything, and substitute those theories for the plain written Word of God. There's no excuse for a lot of these modern theories. Russia is entirely out of the picture when it comes to the fulfillment of prophecies in the latter days concerning the coming of the Antichrist and concerning God's dealings with Israel. Ezekiel 38 and 39. You hear more about that today in connection with Russia, and that the Antichrist is going to come from Russia. And they call the Antichrist the Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Why, they write books by the dozens on Russia, 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 and about the Antichrist coming from Russia. But what does the book say here? Certainly Ezekiel will not contradict Daniel, will he? If so, we might as well question other parts of the Bible. Ezekiel has to be in perfect harmony with Daniel. What does Mr. Daniel tell us that God told him about this question? Where the Antichrist was coming from? Out of one of them, 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 out of one of them came forth the little horn. Isn't that what we read in verse 9? Isn't that what we read in verse 23? All right, if that's what we read, then that's the truth. And nothing else could be the truth. Then we ought to expect the Antichrist of the future. He isn't here now, remember. We ought to expect the Antichrist of the future to come out of one of them, out of one of them, out of one of them. Out of either Egypt, Greece, Turkey, or Syria. Out of one of them. Now, was Russia ever inside of the old Roman Empire? No, Russia's north of the old Roman Empire. All right? When the prophet Daniel in Daniel 7 speaks of 10 kingdoms inside of the old Roman Empire, he's not even talking about Russia, you see. And when the prophet further narrows down the coming of the Antichrist from 10 kingdoms to 4 of these 10 kingdoms, definitely limiting his coming to either Egypt, Greece, Turkey, or Syria, then Russia's not even involved in the passage. Was Russia ever a part of the old Grecian Empire? Did Alexander ever conquer Russia? All right, then Russia couldn't be a part of the old Grecian Empire. Couldn't be a part of the 4 divisions of the Grecian Empire, out of which Antichrist must come. To me, this is just as plain as John 3:16. And it's clear to anybody if they want to accept it. Because John 3:16 isn't any clearer than Daniel 7:9, where it says, out of one of them, 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 out of one of them. One is just as clear as the other. That does away with all these modern speculations about Russia and about the Antichrist coming from Russia and about Russia going to dominate the whole world and Russia's going to enter into Palestine and Russia's going to fulfill this and Russia's going to fulfill that. You know when Ezekiel 38 and 39 are going to be fulfilled and when Russia's going to come into Palestine? After Russia is conquered by the future Antichrist. When Antichrist conquers Russia, then Russia will come down from the north parts under the Antichrist, and the Antichrist will be the Gog of Russia by conquest, not because he came from Russia. He's conquered Russia. Then he leads those countries down against Jerusalem to destroy the Jews. That's at the second coming of Christ. In Daniel 11:44, we read about this battle of the Antichrist in Russia, but tidings out of the east and out of the north, that is, east and north of these 10 kingdoms, shall trouble him. Now some people make this king of the north of Daniel 11 Russia also. But I don't get the point myself when there isn't any country north of Russia that could bring tidings down against Russia. Russia's the furthest country north, isn't it? Isn't it? How could there be tidings north of Russia to come down and trouble Russia? But when you look at it, it refers to the northern division of these four Grecian divisions of the Roman Empire inside of the old Roman Empire and inside of the old Grecian Empire, and Russia is north of that. Then you can see how tidings north and east shall trouble the Antichrist inside the Roman Empire. And the Antichrist shall go forth with great fury to destroy and to utterly make away many. Then, after Antichrist conquers Russia, he brings Russia together with other nations against Jerusalem. For Zechariah 14, we saw earlier this evening, said, I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. The city shall be taken, the house is rifled, and so on. So the Antichrist is definitely not coming from Russia. Not going to have a thing to do with Russia until he gets power over the 10 kingdoms inside the Roman Empire. And then he's going to have something to do with Russia. He's going to use those 10 kingdoms to conquer Russia. Then they come down against the city of Jerusalem to destroy the Jews and to stop Christ from setting up his kingdom in the world. And then the battle of Armageddon will take place. And all the prophecies concerning the Antichrist will be completely fulfilled. We have seen that the prophetical portions of Daniel are interpreted for us by God himself, so that we do not need to have any difference of opinion about these matters. That's one good thing I'm going to thank Mr. Daniel for when I get to heaven, that he gave us God's interpretation instead of inserting his own into these wonderful chapters concerning events to come from his day on into all eternity.